people that aren't necessarily active duty people who have died in a war, but that still suffer the consequences from war. And a few other people who we might not normally think of on Memorial Day. For example, I'd like to acknowledge all of the deported veterans who aren't here on the U.S. soil that have served in the U.S. military. It's estimated anywhere from 3,000 to 30,000 deported veterans are spread across 19 different countries. And unfortunately, ICE and other Border Patrol and deportation agencies don't really keep track of the veteran status of the people they deport. So there are veterans who are mostly in Mexico and all over the world, basically, that have been given the promise of U.S. citizenship and then denied that, unfortunately, which is not fair. They've fought in Kosovo, Iraq, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and they can't be with us here today because they were lied to. Some of these deported veterans, they came to the United States, as infants, and they many times don't even know how to speak the language of the countries they're being deported to. They have families, children, so I'd like to acknowledge them. Victims of drone strikes in Pakistan, which we've been striking since 2004. A number of people have died in Pakistan due to U.S. drone strikes. Pakistan's Prime Minister says that the use of drones is not only a continual violation of our territorial integrity, but also detrimental to our resolve and efforts at eliminating terrorism for our country. It's been estimated that the total killed in Pakistan from drone strikes, 2,400 to nearly 4,000 people have been killed. Children, 172 to 207. And total injured, over 1,700 people have been injured in Pakistan. 30 Westerners have been killed in drone strikes. 2 aid workers that were taken hostage by Al-Qaeda have been killed in our drone strikes. And the most recent strike in Pakistan was May 18th of this year. Yemen, we started bombing Yemen from our drones in 2002. The most recent strike in Yemen was May 11th. We've had 95 to 115 confirmed drone strikes. We've killed 447 to 665 Yemen people. We've killed 65 to 97 civilians. We've killed 8 to 9 children. We've injured 88 to 217 Yemen people. This does not include other covert operations that are more secret than what we know about. In Somalia, which we've been using drone strikes since 2007, our most recent strike in Somalia was March 12th. We've had 9 to 13 drone strikes in Somalia. We've killed 23 to 105 people. We've killed 0 to 5 civilians. So far, no children. We've injured 2 to 7 people. In Afghanistan, we've had 9 confirmed drone strikes. We've killed 70 to 108 people in Afghanistan. 0 to 2 civilians. Children, 0 to 2. Injured 9 people. The Afghanistan war, we have killed at least 21,000 people. The Afghanistan war has destroyed lives, both due to direct consequences of violence and the war-induced breakdown of public health, security, and infrastructure. Civilians have been killed by crossfire, improvised explosive device, assassination, bombing, and night raids of houses of suspected insurgents. Unexploded ordnance from previous wars and from U.S. cluster bombs continue to kill even in the absence of fighting. Afghanistan people are dying from disease due to lack of clean drinking water, malnutrition, and reduced access to health care. Environmental disasters like drought and floods are exacerbated and complicates humanitarian relief. As far as the Iraq war goes, we've killed anywhere from 500,000 to upwards of 1.3 million people. My ship was the first to shoot anything for Operation Iraqi Freedom. And at the time, I was freshly 19 years old. I didn't really even know what I was doing. We were just sent to the Gulf and told to go blow up Baghdad, basically. Unfortunately, I never really found out what exactly I ever did or what most of the results were for the Tomahawk cruise missiles that we fired into Baghdad. I can only imagine that I probably destroyed infrastructure and killed civilians. And this didn't really strike me until later when I ended up working at Habitat for Humanity. I was put in charge of working with different refugees, and some of them happened to be from Afghanistan and Iraq. And I befriended one woman who was from Iraq. Her and her family came over, and she was about the same age as I was. She had a child and a husband. And I asked her about what it was like to live in Iraq and why she left. And she said that it was so horrible that they couldn't bear to be there anymore. Her husband was an interpreter for the Americans, and because of this, they put death threats on her family. I have a little sister, and she had a little sister. They were both about the same age, and her little sister was abducted. And to this day, she still doesn't know where she is. And I can only imagine what that would be like. And me and my sister are really close. I can only imagine what that would be like to not know where she was. And I asked her about depleted uranium. I've read about that. I've known about depleted uranium. I've watched documentaries and listened to radio about depleted uranium, yet I didn't know from any firsthand account what that was like. And she said that it is so bad, the birth defects are so bad in Iraq right now, that the main question that mothers are asked when the baby is born is it normal? That's how bad that these birth defects are and how common they are. So, with knowing these things, I want to remember, and I want us to remember that we have to acknowledge all of the things that war reaches out to, and all of the different veins of pain and suffering that war causes. And sometimes I wonder, why am I depressing myself over these things? And this is just so depressing. But what I came to the understanding is everybody can just do what they are able to do. Start where you are in the place that you were at and do what you can to make some type of positive change, and try not to get overwhelmed. And a thought crossed to my mind several weeks ago when I was sitting by myself, and what I thought was the main way to actually change anything is simply to be kind to your brothers and sisters, and be kind to the planet. Think about all the ways in which you affect other people around you. And sometimes it's really hard to keep going, but I just ask that everybody continue to be strong and not give up, because it's easy to do that. So I'd like to acknowledge all the children that are affected, all the families that are affected by our wars in the Middle East, our drone strikes, and all the families that are losing children every day. And basically we have committed genocide, directly or indirectly, in the Middle East. And to acknowledge your presence. I understand that we can't just fix all these things overnight, and that's one of the ways in which we can become frustrated on a daily basis. Why do I go out and do these things and speak about things or write letters and things don't change? Well, they change over time, and that's what we have to remember. It's a process, and it really just matters that we come together and we find people who understand the similar things in which we do. That I believe that peace is an attainable thing. I don't believe that humankind is inherently evil, like some economists and other elitists would like us to think about each other. I don't actually believe that. I don't actually believe that humans have made it this far in the process of becoming from humanoids all the way from who we are now, just because we've been warlike beings towards each other. There's evidence that we've repaired each other's bones when they're broken over time. And so I don't believe that humans are inherently evil and that we're just here to destroy each other. I think that we're here to heal each other. I think that we can do that. I honestly do. And we do that through finding other people who think similar things to how we do and give our energy to those people. And back to the planet, which we're part of.